Security will come to order. Subcommittee is meeting today to review the critical infrastructure, technology, and personnel funding needed by U.S. Customs and Border Protection to enhance our nation's border security. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. All three branches of the government are now engaged in an attempt to resolve an issue created by the unconstitutional actions of the previous administration. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, provides legal status for those brought to the United States as minors by executive action. Impending legal action by the states pushed President Trump to announce the termination of the program last year with a 6-month delay. And absent recent court rulings, it would have officially ended last week. For months, many of us in Congress have been working diligently on a lawful solution for the DACA population. However, any solution reached must ensure that, as a nation of laws, we will not repeat the mistakes of the past and end up in the same place, discussing this very same issue about the next similar population in 10, 15, or 5 years down the road. Border security is a critical pillar of that solution, and it's a key part of the compromise proposal offered by President Trump. As the debate rages on in the media, here in Congress, and especially on this subcommittee, it's our responsibility to fully examine what it will take, both in terms of policy changes and dollars and cents to secure our nation's border. To be clear, the federal government's responsibility is to secure our borders, and that's independent from any way forward on DACA. And in addition to being the chair of this subcommittee, I'm one of 9 members of Congress that actually represent a border district. And my constituents have waited too long for Washington, D.C. to provide all the resources, the strategy, and the manpower that will be required to secure the border and stop the cartel activity tracking through our communities. It's refreshing to have a president who has the will to do what it takes to provide real border security. Today we're here to talk about what resources are needed and how they will be deployed to get the mission done. Late last year, in the context of the DACA-related negotiations, we asked U.S. Customs and Border Protection leadership to provide Congress with a list of what they needed to adequately secure the border. They responded in early January by delivering a document entitled Critical CBP Requirements to Improve Border Security. This document details major border security investments across 4 main categories: physical barriers, technology, access, and additional staffing. In total, this proposal calls for an expenditure of more than $33 billion over the next 10 fiscal years. This is not an insignificant sum of money for an organization whose annual budget is almost $17 billion. This request proposes to construct hundreds of miles of new barriers, deploy billions of dollars of new technology, and hire thousands of new agents and officers based on requirements generated from CBP field commanders. For years, CBP has reiterated the need for the right combination of barriers, technology, and personnel. The reason is simple. The border is complex. There isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. Along the 1954 miles of border, there are wide variations in terrain and threats, from urban cores like San Diego and El Paso to remote rural areas like in my district in Arizona. CBP has put forth a series of proposals to achieve situational awareness and operational control. Most members of Congress say they're committed to securing the border, and if that's the case, we have an obligation to carefully and thoughtfully consider what CBP has requested to get the job done. I would encourage members of the subcommittee to listen to the justifications for these expenditures given by career professionals, like Deputy Commissioner Vitello and Agent Brandon Judd on the next panel, who have worked the border and know firsthand the challenges that we are up against. We know that the border is not secure. Gangs and trafficking organizations exploit it every day. And it's not just border communities who are threatened by these bad actors. Americans across the country, including those being impacted by the opioid epidemic, are affected by the illicit activities traversing our borders. We've got a unique opportunity here to change the status quo on the border. The proposals offered by CBP start as a solid framework. I want to be clear. Real border security is more than just a border wall system, technology, and personnel. It also includes aspects of policy. Ensuring that illicit border crossers are promptly removed from the country discourages others from illegally crossing in the future and sends the message our nation's laws will be enforced. And unfortunately, there are too many loopholes right now in our current system that are used on a daily basis by the cartels to thwart the hard work done by the men and women of CBP and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. These loopholes also must be closed. Over the last 6 months, I have collaborated with Chairman McCall, Chairman Goodlatte, and Representative Labrador to craft legislation that closes these loopholes and authorizes this critical funding for border security into a trust fund and ensure the mission is complete and future Congresses can't halt the progress. Our bill, called the Secure America's Future Act, includes other important provisions to end chain migration, the visa lottery, crack down on sanctuary cities, Kate's Law, and a bill I previously introduced to go after cartel scouts who sit on hilltops and direct cartel activity, often with better equipment than our agents. It also provides a pathway forward for DACA recipients. We're working to bring our bill to the floor of the House for a vote. I've called today's hearing because I want to dive into the details of the CBP request on border security and help the American people understand what the border security return on investment could be, what would be realized if this strategy is fully funded. Agents and officers of CBP work every single day to secure our nation, often in rugged terrain, dangerous situations, and in very remote areas far away from the amenities of modern life. We owe it to them to give them the tools and the resources that support their ability to gain and maintain situational awareness and operational control of our border. I look forward to the testimony of our witnesses today, and I now recognize Ranking Member of the Subcommittee, the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Vela, for a statement.